world of handmade business can be tough when trying to monetize what you love. We've got truth bombs and motivation to help you find your way through. Passion to profit, let's start today, 'cause the world needs what you create. Tune in right now, it's your shot to learn how to be.
Hello everyone, and welcome
boss.
back to the How to Be a Handmade Boss podcast. So today I am going to be doing a big update episode, and what these basically are is all of the relevant updates from places like Etsy, Instagram, Shopify, Pinterest, all those kinds of things. And I'm mainly going to be focusing in on updates that you actually need to know about. And these whole episodes, the big update, came from where I see so many posts from various different groups and various different things, and everybody's Etsy has different updates, different features. You get sent different emails, and there tends to be quite a lot of confusion around what do I need to know about? What should I be taking action on all these kinds of things, right? So this is where I'm kind of pulling together everything that me and the team could find that is relevant to you. There are a lot more updates, but it's kind of like whether you need to know about them, do you need to take action on them? And those are really the number one key points that I want to bring to you today. So the very first one I want to go into is Pinterest. So Pinterest is now saying that you can share your boards direct to other social media accounts. Pinterest creates a video of your pin, and you can change these, that you can share to places like Instagram stories. You can actually download these to your phone as well. So if you're doing things like video pins or lots of different pins within a board, it's actually quite cool because it means that then you can repurpose that to Instagram stories and also download it to your phone and upload it as a reel as well. So that's a really, really cool thing from Pinterest. Next up is Shopify. So Shopify POS has actually now brought out the ability to do a split screen home layout for tablet, okay? So just like another really good way of kind of being on your dashboard and not just having this massive great white space of screen that's being wasted. I have like a massively wide screen, so I always have at least two different windows open, usually one with things like Asana or notes or a list, and then the other one is a thing that I'm actually doing. So what I actually have here is on the left hand side, and if you're watching on video, you can see my hand waving around now. And this is where I kind of like record stuff. Then on the right hand side is where I have the little list of all the things and all the notes I need to tell you about during this podcast. So if you see me kind of like glancing down to the bottom right or bottom left, depending on if it's flipped or not. So it's really good because it means that you are able to kind of see two things going on at once, right? They also have an ability now to send draft order invoices with payment terms. This is great for merchants that are selling B2B because customers can now send invoices for draft orders with payment terms. So you can give customers the opportunity to review their negotiated cart before actually placing an order, which is really, really nice. It means that you don't have to go back and forth with like pictures and all that kind of stuff. So that's really, really good for those who want to do wholesale, right? Because as we know, wholesale sometimes can be very kind of janky and very clunky. So this is just like another way to seamlessly have that within there. So another great update from Shopify is to automate your privacy settings. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it infuriating where every 2 months or every 3 months, there's this little yellow banner that goes up on your Shopify dashboard. And it's like, you must review this, you must, And 9 times out of 10, you pretty much just end up going, yes, I agree with the ones that Shopify recommends. Why do I have to do this, right? So now what they've done is that they've done like a little tick box that says you can automate these in line with what they recommend. So no more do we have that little yellow banner that's like, you're going to change this thing. It's all automated. Next up is Canva. Now, I've included Canva here because I use Canva every single day without fail, even on my days off, actually, which is quite strange. So I really wanted to kind of tell you guys, for all of you people who are using Canva for social media, product creation, making lists, their AI tool, then this part is for you. So Canva has celebrated $1 billion of product donated to social impact. So their two-step plan has reached an exciting milestone, hitting $1 billion worth of product donated through our free Canva for education and Canva for nonprofits program. So that is a big thumbs up from me. Also, they have brought out Leonardo. So they have acquired a generative AI platform called Leonardo as they double down and scale the world's best visual AI. So if you've ever gone onto Canva and you've gone onto their AI tool, which if you haven't, it's quite good. I would say there has some limitations to it. And I imagine that's probably why they have acquired this generative AI thing, because they're probably thinking, yeah, we need to up our game with this. And it's really cool for creating things like social media imagery. If you want to explain something, if maybe you're kind of visualizing a example and you want to kind of find a picture, a photo, a graphic for it, but you can't quite find it, the tool is really, really cool. And I must say, I have used it to explain things during slides. So if I say like, this is like a cat on caffeine, right? I can literally go to Canva and type in caffeinated cat, and it will spit out some kind of picture that I can use. It might make people laugh. I wouldn't say it's kind of the thing to like create products and art through or anything like that, because some of that can be against their T's and C's. You know, if you are going to Canva, creating a AI image and then selling it on Etsy, there's some gray area around that. And I would urge you to look at the Canva T's and C's and also the Etsy T's and C's as well. So yeah, it's just like another really cool thing that they're bringing out. Next up is Instagram. Now, I have seen this pop up on my Instagram desktop, and there were times where I was kind of thinking, like, is this like a glitch? Is this something that I don't know about? And it's Notes. So Notes says that they are giving you a space to share updates and thoughts as short posts with certain people. So you can share up to one note with others on Instagram, and your note will appear at the top of your inbox in Instagram messaging and above your profile picture in your profile. So I've kind of just seen it and not really done anything with it. I'm struggling a little bit for Handmade business owners, how you would use this, because if you're going to message someone, you're going to message someone. If you have a broadcast group that you want to tell lots of different people, you're going to use the broadcast group. So I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if people, they haven't made a big hurrah about it like they did the broadcast thing. So I'm not sure. I would say give it a go, but I would say if you're looking for something like that, the broadcast group is the way to go. I honestly love the broadcast group. And the broadcast group is basically where you create a group and people can join it willy-nilly. They can view it. It's very like open. And it's a place where you can share your best stuff. So think of it like an instant email, right? So currently I think we have like 385 people. And honestly, the most engagement on Instagram that I have gotten is through the broadcast group. So it's a really nice way of keeping up to date. They feel like a bit of an insider, a bit of a VIP, and you're sharing your best stuff. And it's basically like a one-sided thing. So you send broadcasts out and people can't type within there. So it's not like a back and forth. It's not like a chat, which is great for things like spam and, you know, naughty messages and all that kind of stuff. But it's just a great place for people to get that extra layer deeper with a relationship with you. Okay, next up is Etsy. So Etsy has a lot of updates for you. So I am going to be glancing down, if you're watching on the video version, I am going to be glancing down at my notes because there is a lot. But the first thing is they have updated their partner discounts. So I'm not sure if you guys ever knew this, but basically Etsy has discounts with various vendors. So such as Zebra label printers, Brother, Packlink Pro, UShip, QuickBooks, TurboTax, Adobe Express, and all those kinds of things. I must say I've never actually used it because I kind of feel like, I don't know, a big company like Etsy, I'm kind of thinking, are they going to be getting the best discounts that you can get outside of, for example, Honey or Top Cashback or anything like that? So feel free to kind of like check it out. Just Google partner discounts Etsy and it should take you directly to that page. There's not a lot on there, if I'm being completely honest, but it's worth a little looky. There is also the Etsy 2024 Design Awards. Now, by the time this comes out, these submissions will actually be closed. Actually, as of recording this, they are closed. But, if you're interested in that kind of thing, it's worth keeping an eye out. Now, I personally have never entered it because I don't really know why. I suppose I just feel like I've never kind of needed to or kind of wanted to, but it's definitely there if you feel like you want to. So, the first prize is epic. It's a $25,000 cash prize, and you get mentioned on the judges' social media channels. So that's like Drew Barrymore, Naomi Osaka, Dana Johnson. And the second prize is voted on the Etsy community. So that's how you win it. And it's a $5,000 cash prize. So some really awesome things there. So I'm reading the T's and C's for the Etsy Design Awards as they can promote you. They can promote your brand. They can promote your products or part of. And basically the submission almost belongs to them. So just be a little bit careful when you are doing, or just even in general, when you're submitting for competitions, grants, giveaways, all those kinds of things. Do read the T's and C's because there is always something in it for the company. And I'm kind of questioning what's in it for Etsy. So before you submit anything for next year or any other giveaways or competitions or grants that you can see, just make sure that you do read the T's and C's. Next up, the Etsy Insider Beta. And this is a new membership program for buyers. Now, I've kind of talked a lot about this on lives and on reels and all that kind of stuff, but I'll just go over it again. So Etsy Insider, this is directly from them, is an invite-only closed beta program that we're rolling out to a select group of buyers in the US this September. So depending on when this goes out, when you're listening to this is September 2024. So if you're listening to this in the future, then you'll probably know how it all went. But basically, those buyers will be given the option to purchase an annual or a seasonal membership, which will give them access to exclusive benefits such as Etsy Insider, free US domestic shipping, a special birthday bonus, a tote bag, and also they'll be working with a few shops to offer deals and drops item discount and first access to merchandise for Etsy sellers. So what they're saying is that you won't need to do anything. They will kind of say you don't have to change your workflow, your shipping, there's no cost to you. They'll be rolling it out, testing it. They don't need to opt in or anything like that. Now, a lot of people's question is, what about the discounts? How does that all work? And they say, we'll be working with select sellers to offer Etsy Insider deals and item drops. Sounds good. While offering Etsy Insider deals and first access items is completely optional, it's a great opportunity for sellers to be highlighted in the Etsy Insider marketing, helping drive even more traffic to your shop. The question on here was, you mentioned exclusive discount, who's covering those? So basically, they are skirting around it and saying, basically, it's you. If you want to be included in the big marketing push to their kind of insider group, then you have to do the discounts, okay? Now, my personal opinion is I'm not sure how well this is going to go, okay? And throughout this whole big update episode, I'm going to be giving you my own opinion on things as well as like direct from the horse's mouth, what has been said. So my personal opinion is that I don't know how many people are actually going to join this. I think it will be something that the diehard fans will join, people who love Etsy. And I'm actually wondering how many people out of those are going to be sellers themselves that love Etsy and that want to be a part of it. I'm also wondering if maybe the item discounts will be things like end of line, sale items, X display, oops items. And that's actually what I would recommend for you guys if you want to get involved with this, is don't discount your best sellers. Just do the things that you're thinking, I'm going to put these on sale anyway. I might as well get something out of it, right? So I really feel as if, I'm not sure, I'm very on the fence with this, because one part of me thinks, if you're going to go to Etsy to buy something, you're going to go to Etsy to buy something. We don't need this extra layer of complication in with it. The other part of me thinks, if you're going to buy a necklace for your Auntie Jane, and then they come to you and say, hey, if you pay $10 or whatever it's going to be to join this Etsy Insider program for a year, you get a necklace similar for half the price. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of. I'm wondering how it's going to work in relation to, are they going to tell you the discounts up front before you join? Because that's going to be a little bit unfair for people who aren't part of it and don't want to discount their stuff. But the other part of me thinks they probably won't. They'll probably have it behind this closed screen, this closed door, and they'll tell people, hey, you have to join if you want to see what they are. So I'm in two minds about this. Honestly, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of thinking, yeah, it could be good, but a bit like the whole thing where they said that they were going to bring out Etsy seller tiers. No, it was called Etsy Plus, and then they were going to have like 3 different layers, and that never ended up happening. And I'm kind of questioning whether this update is something like that. The next Etsy update is spotlighting you, the heart of our marketplace. So as you know, in Q1, they were talking a lot about how they're going to pivot and really change. Obviously we've seen a lot of Temu stuff, AliExpress stuff. There was, for about a year or more, there was a lot of unfairness going on where there was a lot of non-handmade goods. There was a lot of kind of stuff that shouldn't have really been on there. And if you want to go back and listen to my first big update episode, I did really dive in deep within that. But what I'm seeing is that they are, and this is where I'm kind of linking it back to the Etsy Design Awards, and I'm wondering whether the winners are going to be really showcased front and center as they're spotlighting you, the heart of the marketplace. We are putting Etsy sellers front and center in our latest marketing campaign and refreshed homepage experience. So that is kind of what they've said. They are really, really, really looking at how they can put you front and center. Okay. So another way that they have done that is that they've actually created on their @EtsySuccess Instagram page, they've created a made by story highlight that you can get, and you can unlock the custom template, use it, create your own unique version, share it. And that's kind of their way of saying, hey, I'm on Etsy and I'm putting myself front and center. So they are doing things, but they are kind of cutting back, I think, on the professional actors in their ads and on their social media stuff. And they're actually just using the sellers as the content. There's kind of like a big version of user generated content, right? So that's kind of the big thing that they have said that they are doing, is they are making sellers the spotlight, because I think they've kind of come to realize that when sellers uprise and say, this is not fair, it really affects Etsy's bottom line, revenue, GMS, all those kinds of things. And you kind of think, well, that's good because we have the power and they're listening to us. And hey, things are beginning to take a turn for the better. And I'm wondering what Q3 and Q4's investor relations report will actually look like, because this one honestly is leaning into, and I'm going to be digging into it in a second, it's really leaning into and going towards, hey, guess what? People do not want mass-produced crap. They actually want stuff that is handmade, and they've actually made some big strides here that I'm going to be going over now. So I'm going to be going over some notes that we've made from the Q2 financials doc. Okay, the end of Q2 2024, they looked back and they said, you know what? Consolidated results came in at the high end of our guidance. So that's good. They kind of came in at the higher end of what they thought they would be. So Etsy Marketplace GMS, which is gross merchandise sales. If you hear me say GMS, it's gross merchandise sales. And this is basically the total value of all transactions made on a given e-commerce or online platform over a specific period of time. So you can kind of be like, money, yes. So they are saying that it accelerated from Q1, showing improvement across most categories. Who knew, if you actually made Etsy Handmade again, that this would be the case? Yay. Q2 24 consolidated GMS is 2.9 billion. Revenue is 648 million. That's dollars. Okay. So that is good. That means that, you know what, we made these moves, and to some they were big and scary, you know, for a big company like Etsy to pretty much abandon, close down, reject a lot of people who weren't selling handmade goods, but we're bringing in a lot of money for Etsy, a lot of fees, a lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of buyers, for them to go, thanks, but no thanks. That's a big step. And you have to kind of appreciate that they did kind of go out on a bit of a limb. And, you know, if you've got a seller that has 50,000 sales selling Temu crap, I will say, but they're still losing those fees. They're still losing that money at the end of the day. So for them to go, nah, you're out of the inner circle of trust, it's kind of a big deal. So they say our bold moves to drive consideration and reignite GMS are moving the needle. That's what they're saying. Now, what are these bold moves, you might ask? Let me tell you. So they want to overall drive the consideration of buyers for Etsy. So basically what they want is they want people to say, rather than going to Amazon to look for a gift, they want people to immediately think of Etsy. And there's 3 bold moves that they've kind of been harping on about since Q1. And that is quality. Make it easier to find the good stuff on Etsy, not layered in with other rubbish. Number 2, great value. Drive association that there are great deals on Etsy. This is something that when you're competing with the likes of Amazon, you have to do. And I know that a lot of people are going to be saying, but they're not Amazon. Why are they doing this? Why? But the bottom line is, guys, is that when people think of buying a present online, they are immediately going to Amazon, eBay. That's pretty much the big 2. Amazon is probably the number 1. So how do you align with that? How do you get people off of Amazon and come to Etsy? You have to kind of compete with them a little bit. People go to Amazon because they have Prime Day deals. They have this, they have that. And I kind of feel like that's what they're doing with the whole membership thing. It's kind of like Etsy's answer to Prime. But you have to really look at what they are competing with out there. And, you know, something that I like to do at times is, how would I do it? I don't think I would do it much differently to what Etsy is doing now, really. The 3rd bold move is reliability. Make shopping on Etsy more convenient, they say. But I think that's probably also leaning into, we don't want people to lose money. We don't want scammers on there. We don't want fraud on there, all that kind of stuff. So the 3 bold moves: quality, make it easier to find the good stuff, great value, and reliability. Those are the big 3 that they are really diving in on. They also said that gifting is a winning theme. So they're driving growth as being the number 1 place to buy a gift. So that is why when you go on the Etsy homepage right now, all you see, and I want you to actually do it now, all you'll see is gift, gift, gift for this, gift for that, blah, 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 blah. And it's basically their edge. It's their USP. It's their unique edge. It's how they are going to make themselves different from Amazon, where you can buy gifts, but you can also buy a pack of screws or a lawnmower. They don't want to do that. They want to be like the place to buy gifts. So what this means for you is, if you haven't already got gifting listings, gifting products, gift sets, gift wrap, insert gift thing here, do that. That should be your focus, especially for coming up to Q4, Christmas at the end of the year. You really need to be making sure to include gift. In fact, I would go as far as to say that should be your top priority, mainly because if they are bringing gifting buyers to the platform, you want to be ready to catch them and say, yeah, I have a good gift for you. You come here. I can fulfill all your gifting needs, my love. The next update is that they also launched significant improvements to the gift mode shopping experience. And basically they are redesigning how the app and the layout is laid out, so that when people are going on to Etsy, they need it to be a seamless experience. So again, a bit like Amazon, although I would argue that Amazon is not seamless because it's a little bit wonky. You are kind of looking at a homepage that's very easy to navigate. Now, Etsy want to do that, but they also want to put their best foot forward and kind of say, like, here's the search bar, but also here's these categories that we can recommend all these things to you. And have you tried this? And have you tried that? And oh, have you seen this? And it's kind of like finding that fine balance. I always say, when you're building a homepage, you want to make it easy for them to get to where they want to go, but you also want to make it easy for them to be inspired as well. And I think Etsy are just kind of teetering towards one and then the other and then back again and back again. And it's all a learning curve. It's all a testing thing. Going into their bold moves, which is number 1, to give you more of the good stuff, here's 4 things that they are really honing in on to make that work. So they are suppressing and removing listings that violate Etsy's policies. And I have seen that. I have seen that a lot. I have seen a big uptick. Now, not in our group, but, I have eyes in other groups as well. And lots of people have been coming to me and with screenshots of shops that are being closed down. So what this means is if you are selling items that are not handmade by you, if you are selling items with Disney, Marvel, copyright themes, you're in trouble. If you are selling anything really that violates Etsy's policies in any way, they have changed. Please go and have a look. Then you are in trouble and you need to do a pivot quick smart because they are coming for sellers that are not aligning with where they want to go. All right. The second thing is to elevate, and they're saying they want better quality listings in search and recommendations. So all good. Curate the marketplace to show the newest and best listings on Etsy. So that's where and I'm surprised they mentioned newest because this really feeds into, and for a long time, people were saying, it's the big sellers. They dominate pages 1, 2, and 3. I cannot get a head in. Okay. But what this is that they are saying the newest and the best. So this really feeds into everything that we've always taught you within the HBSA and all of the courses and lives and things that I've done, which is you have to keep things new and fresh, because if you don't, you're just kind of staying stagnant. You're kind of beating people around the head with a dead horse. You know what I mean? You're kind of saying, buy this thing, buy this thing, buy this thing. But if no one's bought it in 3 years, then it's time to change things up a little bit. The fourth thing is to organize. So quality listings on our marketplace through better segmentation. So I have found this actually recently. They have been going into the categories and changing things up a little bit. So for example, the jewelry one, they are really kind of looking at, okay, there are 2 different types, costume jewelry and high-end jewelry. And they're really looking at how can we segment those and make it fairer. So it's not just jewelry as a whole, because it's a very saturated niche. I would know, I'm in it. They're kind of seeing, okay, so when people are searching, they're not all in this bucket. They kind of want to go into little mini buckets. They are also saying that the search team made excellent progress in highlighting the quality and diversity of Etsy's inventory, which means better buying experiences. So what does this actually mean? Okay, so they have cut in half the percentage of searches where a high number of the listings seen on page 1 are from a single seller. So they've cut that in half, which is great. More spaces, more chances, more of a fair search. They have a 70% reduction in the percentage of searches that have 2 or more listings that may appear identical. So that is good, because that means that when you are typing in something, it's not coming out with all this stuff that looks the same. You know what I mean? And this is where I know that pod sellers do struggle. Because if you are using a mock-up that is the same, and Etsy have said that they do recommend the first picture not be a mock-up. If you go into the handbook, or a better way to do it would be to search on Google, Etsy first image updates or rules or something like that, you will find it. This is where you guys do struggle, because you are going to be having mock-ups are the same as other shops. And I question how this would affect your placement in search. I don't know for sure, but I am questioning if they are cutting down, searches that have 2 or more listings that appear identical. I wonder if they're cutting that down by 70%. Are you guys getting caught up in this? I don't know. They're also saying that 70% of shops had more visibility in search, and also small and medium shops, their sales have increased by 30% because of everything I've just said. They're giving everybody more of a fair chance. Now, I do know that bigger sellers, this is going to impact. And I know people in the HBSA have seen this where, they are seeing a little bit more of a dip, but small and medium shops, they're seeing a massive boost. So it's kind of like you give to one, you take from the other. I think that if you are a bigger shop that's been going for a long time, you are going to have to kind of pivot and change to kind of fit in with the direction Etsy is going. And to do that, I would say prioritize gifting items, keyword it as such. And also number 2, I would say to create some newness. At least twice a year, you want a big new product drop where you are drip feeding some newness within there. Now, the big update, which you guys probably already know about, but it is the creativity standard. So I did a whole live about this, a whole reel about this, a whole spiel about this, but it's basically you now have made by, you now have hand-picked by, you have designed by and sourced by. And this is to be much more transparent about their whole thing with keeping commerce human. So they want to be transparent. Is it made by you? Is it hand-picked by you? Is it designed by you? Or is it sourced by you? So made by is handcrafted items, hand-assembled items, seller produced using automated or computerized tools. So that all encompasses made by. Handpicked by is vintage, items from nature, collection of items that the seller selected and creatively packaged. So that is all what comes under handpicked by. Designed by is seller's original designs produced by a production partner. Hey up, pod people. Or seller prompted AI art. Now, I'm kind of in two minds about this, but as of now, and they are using policy wording, which is very tentative, I must say, they are just about allowing AI art. Do I think in a year's time we're going to be having a very different conversation? Yes, I do. Okay, that's my opinion. That also encompasses digital downloads of sellers' original designs and most items using a pod partner. Sourced by is mainly craft, supplies, party decor, personalizable, print-on-demand items. If you're in pod, you might be sourced by or designed by. So have a little look into that. So also they have been making updates and improvement to their search. And this is generative AI and advanced ML fueling efficiencies and future growth. That is kind of what they've said, right? So this is where they are improving the user experience with conversational search, which is kind of cool because it means that they are looking at AI and they are looking at how it can make sure that it doesn't matter what kind of grammar you're using or how you're wording things, you're not changing how you naturally speak, which is a big deal. And it means that you have to know your target audience better than ever and how they talk. They also say search optimizations, including query understanding and mission understanding. So this really feeds into search intent, which if you didn't see my episode, it may or may not be out by now, I did talk a lot about search intent. And that is episode number 24. That's if the numbers haven't changed by now, where I talk about what is SEO and how to get it right. So please do go straight away and listen/watch that one, because it means that you will understand search intent a hell of a lot more and you'll know what all of this means. Okay. So let's go over some overall numbers looking at Q2 of 2024. So if there's any doubt in your mind that Etsy is a really good place to be, if you are a handmade seller, if you are someone that is, staying inside of the lines of the policies, you're not skirting any gray areas, you're not breaking any rules. And honestly, guys, if you just understand how to crack Etsy and how to kind of break out on there, it is a really, really fantastic place to be. Now, the HBSA obviously will help you with all of this. It will give you the complete A to Z journey. But for now, I want to give you some numbers to kind of prove to you that this is the place to be. All right. So Q2 of 2024. So active buyers was up by 1% year on year. And that stood at 91.5 million. So there's 91.5 million buyers on there. So just to kind of go back and look at how many active sellers they have, there are 8 million active sellers on Etsy. So you've got 91.5 million active buyers, people who are really buying things, not just accounts, versus 8 million shops. And you kind of think, okay, there's a good pool of people here. So I know a lot of you right now are probably listening to this and maybe you're feeling like, ugh, I'm not getting the success that I wanted. People aren't buying. So out of 91.5 million buyers, honestly, are you telling me that there are people that do not want to buy what you have to sell? They're not picking up what you're putting down? Because honestly, yes, there are 91.5 million people, guys. You can find your people on there. It's not your products. It's not what you sell. It's more than likely something like your target audience, your branding, your SEO, all these kinds of things. And that is something that I can help you with. So Q2, new buyers this is insane. There was 5.6 million new buyers that came onto Etsy. So that is a big plus. Now that was actually down by 9.1% year on year, but even still 5.6 million buyers. That's a big thumbs up from me. Reactivated buyers were 6.5 million, and this is actually up by 8.5% year on year. So what this means is people are coming back to Etsy. They're being tempted to come back. And what does this mean? Well, everything, like all of the ads and all of the things that Etsy are doing, their bold moves and such, are working. Repeat buyers for Q2 of 2024 were 37 million. So that is actually up by 2% year on year. And that means that 37 million people have bought 2 or more items. So that means they are committed to Etsy, to the gifting process, to sellers, to spending money on small handmade businesses, which is a big thumbs up from me. Habitual buyers were down by 3% year on year, but that still stood at 6.9 million. So they are people that shop on a regular basis. That is a lot. And GMS of the active buyers is $124. So that is down by 3.2% year on year, but it still means that per active buyer, on average, they are spending $124. So that is another thumbs up. So guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this big update podcast / video. Again, depending on if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, and if you are doing one or the other and you'd rather do one or the other, then you can either listen to me on the How to Be a Handmade Boss podcast, subscribe to it, and you will get the updates. And I will link a little linky link below. You can listen on Apple, you can listen on Alexa, you can listen on Spotify or anything like that. So if you would prefer to listen to me while you're running or taking the dog out for a walk or cleaning or whatever, then you can. And if you're listening to me on the podcast and you'd rather watch me, rather see my face and my hand movements, then you can actually now watch every podcast episode on YouTube as well. But for now, my loves, I shall catch you all next week for the next episode of How to Be a Handmade Boss. Thank you so much for tuning in to How to Be a Handmade Boss. And if you're eager to boost your Etsy sales within just 7 days, then be sure to join my most popular free training at handmadebosses.com/conversion. You can also find the link in the show notes as well. Keep an eye out for our next episode where we'll be continuing our journey towards handmade business success together. And until then, keep crafting and stay inspired, because the world really does need those special creations that only you can make.